Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's 10 minutes after 12 noon, Friday, December 10th. And ever since YouTube has given the extension to do longer videos now, I figured I might as well just finally get a lot of things I've mentioned in a few videos off my chest. Now, you might remember back in October that I did a video about the fact that when it comes to election day and all these political ads, that they need to do something instead of just filling up people's mailboxes with them. You know what I'm saying? Well, I still stick by that. I truly do. I still stick by that. But another thing I stick by, though, another thing that I do stick by, is the fact that is what I said in my other video recently, where comic shops have to work around the holiday schedules and other times of the year. Well, let me kind of overall in this video talk about what I'm saying, kind of give you an idea of what I'm saying. What I'm saying overall, if you will, what I'm saying is that when it comes to days like election day, when it comes to times of the years like the holiday season, the post office and places like comic book companies and magazine companies, what they need to do is they need to start working around these schedules so that people can get what they ordered or subscribe to on time. I mean, excuse my language, but this is way beyond bullshit. That's what it is. It's way beyond bullshit. And you know why? Let me put it to you like this. As many of you probably know by watching a lot of my videos, I am a subscriber of the Scientific Chalk comic book. And I should have gotten issue 219 days ago, if not a week before. And I still have not gotten it. According to the websites, it was supposed to be on newsstands 3 days ago. And usually subscribers like myself get our issue before then. But obviously that has not happened. Now, I can't really remember if last year I got it a little later or not. And that's why I did one of my videos on the 16th of December 2009. I can't remember. But all I do know is what's going on is damn right ridiculous. It's damn right ridiculous. I mean, think about it. It's not just with the comic books either. I mean, think about it. If you're expecting a package in the mail, that's right. So let's say somebody, because it's Christmas, says, we're going to send this big old box of presents your way, so you guys can have them in time for Christmas. And yet, when they're supposed to get there, they don't. Whether by priority, media, express, or even average first-class mail, sometimes they get there on time, but most times they don't. But put yourself in the shoes of if they don't. You must think to yourself, what's going on? And when you finally do get it, when you finally do get that package of presents that's promised to you so you can open them in time for Christmas, you'll probably get them a day or two before Christmas. I mean, let's say somebody sends a package out, I don't know, on the 16th. Let's say somebody sends that out. It takes 2 to 3 days priority mail for it to get there. Okay, 16th, 17th, 18th, let's say about 18th or 19th, right? But let's say it doesn't get there. And all of a sudden, when you do get it, it's almost 2-3 days later. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is that these post offices need to start realizing that they know these post offices. I mean, I have all I have all the respect in the world. Honestly, I do. I have all the respect in the world for those that work at the United States Post Office. I do. But what they need to do is get more help. Either that, or they need to put some kind of rule or policy that clearly states, hey, we're busy during the holiday season, but we need to do this. Or well, not busy during the holiday. I mean, okay, let me calm down here for a second. The post office has a saying. Has an old saying that neither rain, sleet, or snow will stop it, and that through rain, sleet, or snow, the mail gets through. Now, some people might say it's because of the weather in certain areas of the country that the mail is not getting here on time. That might be true. But shouldn't a company that goes by that saying kind of stick by it? Shouldn't they do that? But here's another thing too that some people don't understand about the post office. You see, my family on numerous occasions has had problems with the post office due to one reason. And that reason is the fact that sometimes our mail would get put in somebody else's mailbox. It's true. Our mail would get put in somebody else's mailbox. I mean, I remember one time we had a neighbor before he moved out across the street knock on our door and say, "Oh, here's your mail," and give it to my mom. And this upset my mom, and it kind of upset me, because we weren't sure exactly where some of our mail was, because we weren't sure if this was happening before, had happened before or not, because sometimes we wouldn't get any, sometimes we'd call people up that we were working with, who said they were sending stuff out to us to, to sign and things like that, and we would never get them. And when we finally do, it'd be way past the date it was supposed to get here. I mean, and to me, there's 3 times of the year, 3 major parts of the year that this could happen in. The summer, because some of the main carriers and routers, that drive the routes and and all that, or walk the routes. Sometimes those main carriers take vacations, and you get these substitute characters that don't pay attention. And then during the holidays, during election time and the holiday season, a lot of things start to mess up. Not only do you probably lose your mail to somebody else's mailbox, but also, like I said, the mail that you expect doesn't get to you on time. All because the post office does not have a system, an organized system that allows them to get everything done at a quick pace, and allows everybody to get the mail they expect. And I apologize for the bird in the background. But they don't allow people to get the mail they expect. They don't. And it's really annoying. And what they need to do, like I said, is they need to organize themselves to where they can balance everything out. But you see, they're not the only ones that have problems balancing things out during these times of the year. Magazines and comic book companies are the same way. Like I said, I'm a subscriber of the Sonic comic book by Archie Comics. And you would expect, heck, that as a subscriber who usually gets the comic maybe about a few days before it hits newsstands, or even on the day it does hit newsstands, you expect to get it by then. You don't expect to get it, I don't know, days after. And the same can go for magazines. There are people out there that subscribe to magazines like Playboy, UFC, WWE, Nintendo Power, Xbox, PlayStation, Rolling Stone, things like that. There are people that subscribe to those comics, to those magazines, I should say, those magazines like that I mentioned, that when that company says, oh, you're going to get this at this time, they should usually stand by that. They should usually stand by that, but unfortunately, they don't. That's right. Unfortunately, they don't stand by it, and let me explain why. Because just like with comic book companies, they don't have an organized schedule. It's just like the post office. Comic book and magazine companies do not have a organized schedule or something like that that balances things out to make sure people get the subscriptions, make sure that the subscriptions come to them on time. They don't have that, especially during the holiday season, especially during times of election, especially during election time. But the holiday season, and I love the holiday season, I do, I love it. There's no doubt about it. It's a great time of the year. All the specials and stuff like that, but still, if I'm working for a comic book or a magazine company like the ones I mentioned, like if I'm working for Archie Comics, or I'm working for DC Comics, or I'm working for Marvel, or I'm working for Image, or Wildstorm, or Dark Horse, or any of the independent comic book companies, or if I'm working for a magazine company like Rolling Stone, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Power, Our Life, Times, if I'm working with them, UFC, WWE, if I'm working for that company, these magazines, if I'm working for that company magazine, then I want to make sure that the people that subscribe to the magazine and to the comics that I mentioned, I want to make sure that my company's comic book or my company's magazine gets to the subscriber on time, no matter what time of the year it is. I want to make sure of it. And the only way comic book and magazine companies can make sure that happens is if they organize, like the post office, what they need to do is organize and balance things out to where everything flows smoothly without any trouble and without any complaints. Because I've gone on some message boards and I find out I'm not the only one that's missing their issue. So, to me, what needs to be done on both the post office side, on the USPS side, the United States Post Office Service side, as well as on the side of the comic books and magazine companies, what needs to be done is for them to balance things out so that everything gets shipped to the people on time, and those that are expecting in the case of a magazine or a comic book, the subscription to come on time, or those that are probably expecting packages containing Christmas presents and all that to arrive on time, they need to balance things out. It's the absolute truth. They need to balance things out. And how do they balance things out? I tell you how. They look at the schedule, they look at the calendar, and they say, okay, first part of the year, no problem. Summer, okay, there's a little problem when it comes to making sure the mail gets delivered correctly. What you need to do what needs to be done during the summer is they got to hire people that are going to pay attention and do the job right. As well as they need to have the original carriers and drivers of the route that they drive to deliver the mail. They need to be there to train their substitutes to make sure they get everything right during the summer. That's the tricky part for the summer. But when it finally comes to the later half of the year, especially towards election day time, as well as holiday season time, what both the post office and magazine and comic book companies need to do is they need to look at that time, need to look at the later half of the year, especially going into the holiday season and election times, and say to themselves, okay, we have election day coming up here, so we know that heading into it we're going to have a lot of these advertisements. We need to figure something out to where people won't get a majority of advertisements in the mail every day. As well as comic book companies, they need to do the same thing. They need to look at a calendar and say, okay, we got election day here, so what we need to do is schedule our releases either after or before, so that everybody gets it on time. Same thing with the holidays. I mean, last month was no big deal for me because I got mine before Thanksgiving, thankfully. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. A comic book company also has to look at this. And they have to say to themselves, when they look at the holidays, they have to say, okay, holidays are coming up. We have no problems here in November, but yet when we get here to December, that's the problem. Because we're going to be competing with a lot of people sending packages and all that. What do we do? Oh, I know. And then come up with an idea. Something that will work, make sure things work out. Same with the post office. When November comes around, it's no problem, but that's when they have to start preparing. Well, November is a problem, you know that. November and December are the problems. Okay, well, not November, December. Actually, October, November, and December are the problems. Because October and November, October is the election time, so that's a little bit of a problem. November, not really no big deal. But when you get into the later half, especially December, that's when, like I say, comic book companies and people at the post office in charge of the USPS services have to look at the calendar and say, okay, this is when we're going to really start getting busy. We need to work something out and then come up with an idea that balances things out and makes things go smoothly. Again, like I said with the comic book companies, have them look at their calendar and go like, we know that election day, like I said, with election day, have them look at the calendar and go like, okay, we need to make sure to get the issues out before or after election day. So that way they won't be competing that much with advertisements. And then, like I say, come up with an idea. And then when it comes to the holiday season, knowing that people will send out packages and cards, they gotta go like, alright, we want our subscribers are expecting their next issue in this comic or the next issue in this magazine at this time. What do we do? And then work it out to where something balances things, come up with an idea, and that will basically smooth things out. I mean, here's my opinion. There are some comic book companies that used to, and I think some still do it, but used to, and Archie Comics being one of them, used to do 2 issues a month of the same comic. They used to do it. One at the beginning of the month, one at the end of the month. So here's what I would do. When it comes to the holiday season, if I'm a magazine company and a comic book company, I start planning to release 2 issues around November and December. Well, mostly probably November, knowing that December is going to be the more harder of the months to get issues out to people. So here's what I would do. I would look at December. If I was in charge of a comic book company, I'd say, okay, December is going to be a little difficult because people are going to be mailing a lot of packages and cards, and people's subscriptions might get lost in the mail. What do we do? Oh, I know. let's go and do twice a month. Let's give them this issue at the beginning of the month, and then later on, let's say they're going to get this issue at the end of the month, so that way there's no problems. And once they do that, problem solved. And it's the truth. Do something like that. And like I said, going back to the post office, to make sure you don't lose your mail, make sure you don't lose your customers' mail, during the summer, because you have people that don't get a flying A about the mail. What you need to do is have your original routers and carriers and all that train those people to the point that they will have they will basically understand, okay, we can't mess up. We can't mess up. So that's what they need to do. That's what they need to do. And the same goes with the holiday season. Like I said, with the holiday season and election time, they need to work something out to where they come up with an idea that makes things balance out and flow smoothly. So, I mean, because come on, honestly, how many of you out there in YouTube land and watching this have had this problem before? How many of you? A lot, right? And how many of you are sick and tired of it? A lot of you. So don't you agree that what I said, that if you're a subscriber to a magazine or a comic, they need to work something out to where everybody gets the subscriptions on time? And don't you agree that the post office needs to do something similar to where nobody loses their mail, and whatever mail they do expect, whether it is a magazine or comic book or whatever kind of important mail, like say a bill for energy or cable and all that, gets to them on time, even though they really wouldn't want to see that? Wouldn't you want to make sure of it? Or what if it's an important document? Let's say you have something about a court case or mortgage or foreclosure or something like that. Wouldn't you want to get some to where, like, let's say it's a document to help save your house. Let's say you're in one of those situations where you have to save your house and all that, and you need the documents. Wouldn't you want to make sure the documents get to you on time? Exactly. Even if it's during December, you want to make sure it gets to you on time. That's the whole situation. If they come up with, if they could just sit down, organize, put their brains together and say, okay, we need to do so. We need to look at the holiday, at the later part of the year, especially the holidays, and basically come up with something that's going to make things go smoothly so that there's no complaints. If they could just put their brains together and come up with something that's going to work, same with the comic book and magazines companies, then you know what? Everything will be fine. But overall, that's really all I have to say about it. So, and that's just an entire 20-minute plus rant on what I've said in those previous two videos. So tell me what you guys think. Again, tell me if you've dealt with things similar, and if not, then, you know, whatever. But let me know what you guys think. I mean, because honestly, this has to stop. People need to get their mail on time, especially during the holidays. Magazine and comic book companies, they need to make sure they work something out to where people can get the subscriptions on time without worrying about when they're going to get it or asking why it's coming later than it's usually scheduled to. So that's all I'm going to say. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll talk to y'all later. God bless. Have a good TGIF.